Texas is flooding. He's best friends with a pedophile. The job market's slowing. Like, what do you want, Sam?
Justice for W.
Those are only 3 keys, Sarah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Next Level Podcast. I'm Tim Miller, hosting this show also, with my co-hosts and best buddies, Sam Stein, managing editor of the Bulwark, Sarah Longwell, publisher of the Bulwark. Neither of them wanted to host. I've got great news, guys. We're going to get into the polling.
I would host it if he would. Listen, he's such a victim. He's such a victim of the workload.
We're going to get into the polling with Donald Trump and the economy and RFK, wanting your children to die and have measles and bird flu. But before, we've got great news. A man that we all loved and honored here at the Bulwark is back. Professor Alan Lichtman posted a tweet yesterday. Alan is the preeminent national voting rights expert in the United States of America. This is in the third person. Please join him live at 9 p.m. Eastern. The keys are back. He's turning the keys one at a time for all of you. Are you guys excited to see it as I was?
First of all, he got the call wrong last time, which, by the way, lots of people, it's difficult to predict the future and elections. It was tough.
Technically, actually, the keys might have been right, but he just misapplied them. He didn't know how to turn them. Because one of the keys was like, which candidate has more charisma? And he was like, Kamala gets that key. And I was like, she had more charisma for me personally, but maybe it turned out for the population, no. So the keys might have been right, but Alan might have been wrong. Something to think about.
So you think he's been fine-tuning the keys, and now is he have an announcement? There's nothing to do with the keys right now.
I don't know.
We are supposed to not get this guy for another 2.5 years.
I'm looking at his Twitter feed right now, and I just want to be clear. It's not that this is him like resurfacing after a period of dormancy. He's been going live randomly, and we just
it's just the first I've seen it. All right, well, I don't know. Maybe he's going to have his bones and chicken entrails out, and we'll see what's happening.
He's got some interesting thumbnails, but it's mostly him just doing this.
Sam, it's delightful to be with you instead of JVL today. But we're going to start with Sarah.
I told Sam before in the green room, I was like, "Are you ready to be like super negative for this? Because somebody's got to sit in for JVL," and he told me he couldn't do it even for the show.
Okay, great. I'll be the negative person then. I'll play that role for today's podcast.
No, not negative, nihilistic.
Nihilistic. All right, sure. State of play. I want to hear what we all think about Trump's political situation right now, because I was being un-JVL. You know, I was in California, sun is shining, prices of everything are very high, and I'm thinking to myself, boy, I'm happy because the wind is in my face, and if the prices are this high everywhere, like, people are not going to vote for Donald Trump, and so that's also makes me happy. And so, like, I was trying to get a little amped. And then, I woke up this morning and I was like, maybe I was getting a little high on my own supply out there in California. And I talked to Josh Barrow this morning, and he was like, I don't know if we're actually going to be in a recession here. He's like, feels like just a slow economy. And a lot of the commenters really didn't like Chuck Todd's take yesterday that the economy was why Trump won. And they were like, maybe it's the racism. And I don't know. I'm starting to think maybe I was getting a little too amped. And so I'm curious, Sarah, I'd like to start with you. I mean, I know that you're still doing focus groups, even though it's summer vacation. What's the mood out there among the people?
It's not great, and it is all cost related. People do think things are too expensive, and they also feel like, so we were asking people, we always do, there's just the opener. How do you think things are going in the country? And the number one word that people kept using was
keys.
Wasn't keys. It was uncertain, which is a thing the keys also are. Uncertain. So people, there were two main complaints: how high prices were and the job market. People, and I will say, we have been hearing about prices. I'm sorry, people were mad about Chuck Todd saying that prices in the economy were a big part of why Joe Biden lost. They are 100% a big part of why Joe Biden lost. Not 100% of why he lost, but they are 100% a major component of why he lost. Hear that distinction.
The percentage thing is getting very complicated these days. Trump said we were going to cut prescription drug prices 1,200%. That math
That's
didn't
good. The
work for me,
pharmaceutical
so no.
companies are going to pay us to take the drugs.
Okay.
That's
Amazing.
great news.
Okay, so it is part of the reason.
It's a main part of the reason. And JBL and I had this fight a lot, and I don't even feel a little bit. I feel completely vindicated on the prices thing. It's all what people were talking about.
When he's not here to challenge it, so
That's true.
We'll just give it to you.
Yeah, thanks. But the job market was interesting. That is new. It's coming from a lot of young people, and I do wonder, both the BLS numbers getting the jobs revisions way down and showing that we're in a slowed economy. There's two reasons. One is I think the uncertainty and the hiring are related, right? Businesses don't want to hire in an environment where they don't know what things are going to cost, whether it's because of the tariffs or, Trump is tacoing left and right. And so that uncertainty is just a real problem. The other thing is that I do think we're going to start to see the impact of AI, not so much in firings, but in new hires. So I think you're going to start to see first that college educated entry-level jobs, a lot of which are research or compiling things, those like first jobs, those are going away because
Eric
of AI.
Thompson's been writing about this a bunch. Have you been on his Substack? Or
I haven't.
Just mind melding. Yeah.
It actually comes more from what I have seen from or listening to the voters, just these young, it's like 24-year-olds talking about how they're like, the job market sucks. And it's really definitive. And so if you recall, in Joe Biden's economy, we still had lots of job growth, very low unemployment, but we had high inflation. And I think those costs did him in and really impacted people's perception overall of that administration. So anyway, I think that things are negative there. We also had to bring up Epstein. But when we did, there was deep frustration over just the lack of transparency. Like the expectation of Trump is that he was going to be a more transparent president. People say outright, he's not supposed to be like a regular politician. He's supposed to be one of us. And so we expect more transparency. So like, it's not that they're like Trump's a pedophile. They're just what is going on? And so there's confusion about Epstein, and then there's unhappiness with the economy. And so
and these groups we're talking about Biden Trump voters or?
Yeah, so these are Biden to Trump voters, although I will say these are people who are dissatisfied generally with Trump. And so we've been trying to understand kind of in the doldrums here for people who are dissatisfied with their vote for Trump, why? And it's almost 100% the economy. Now, I will say I'll give Trump one positive thing that he has been able to do is whether it is Sydney Sweeney or the BLS numbers, he's been able to, and him going on offense on Obama, he has been able to change the vibes around Epstein for his people. Like there is less chatter coming from them, less pushing coming from them about releasing the Epstein files than there was. And so nobody changes the conversation better than Donald Trump.
Sam, I wonder, that's another kind of thing I noticed in my travels. I'm trying to kind of get a sense for how people that are not obsessive sickos like us think about all this stuff. And, like on one hand, a lot of the signs are bad. Like the economic signs are bad. Even the stock market's good. A lot of the other economic signs are bad. The Epstein stuff's bad. The news environment's bad. The people yelling at Mike Flood doesn't feels bad for Trump. On the other hand, I don't know. It does feel like the like outside of our bubble, when I'm talking to people that are not, really engaged in kind of anti-Trump, whatever media or advocacy, things seem kind of like whatever. Like this is fucking crazy what's happening over here. Like this is it's crazy. Like it does seem wild again. Like we're back in the old days. Like always some crazy shit happening, but it doesn't really feel like people are like turning on him. To me, I don't know.
Does it? I don't know. Why do you say that? Is it just because there's not like
I felt like in April, I guess this is all anecdotal. I don't trust the polls right now. I just think that they're very noisy. I think his numbers are directly going down, which is good. But I just, we all have people in our lives who are like, whatever, flippers, as Sarah would put them, people that are kind of soft Trump or whatever. And right. When I check, like in April, like around Liberation Day or whatever the fuck he called it, like when the market was tanking, I was starting to hear from people that are like, oh fuck, like what did I get myself into? And I do think that he has managed to kind of zoom himself out of that space. And like the Epstein thing is not good for him, but I don't know. I guess you think his political situation is pretty bad, or how would you assess it?
I don't know. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Maybe I can try to re-summarize it in my wording, which is like, we've become so accustomed to him at this point, and he's been such a fixture for us for so long now that this crazy shit that's happening on the regular is now just a feature. And we've become sort of like, oh yeah. Like, I mean, if you kind of step back and you think about all this stuff, like, it's so crazy, some of it. Like, even the Epstein thing, if you're like, wait a second, he's like hiding files of him potentially being buddy with this like sex trafficker pedophile. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, so, so there is something to it where it's like people are just kind of resigned to this being what it is, even though they shouldn't be. And I guess that's the Overton window shifting. On the flip side, though, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not totally sure that the anger is less or that the protest of him is like less fervent. I mean, that Mike Flood town hall might have been just a bunch of like high-end liberals who decided to show up in Lincoln, Nebraska for an evening, but they showed up, right? Like, and Mike Flood's supporters didn't. They had the option of going. They didn't get there. I drive by in Rockville, Maryland. Like, this is, again, bubble, whatever. But like on the way to kids activity, I drive by a Tesla station all the time. And Elon hasn't been part of the administration for months. And yet every Saturday there's people out there with fuck Elon signs. And I was like, you guys, he's not around anymore. You don't need to do this. But they, honk if you hate fascism, and, you honk. Right. So it's like,
are you honking?
No, I like fascism.
Okay.
So the thing is, like, there is like clear anger. And, I think the other thing is, like, you look at the polls and they're not great for Trump, but they're probably about where he was, in his first term. And that wasn't great either. So who knows what that means. Right. But everyone's like, well, the Democratic brand is so shitty too. Like, maybe that's a problem. But it's like, Democrats hate Democrats. But they're super fucking energized right now to get rid of this guy. And what does that mean in a year and 2 months? I don't know. But I don't think his situation's particularly great. I've actually marveled at how he's managed to hold his coalition together, even when all this shit is hitting the fan. I mean, I remember 2010 or 2009 in these protests in the town halls over Obamacare, and like the party was flipping out. Like, they were flipping out and trying as hard as they could to get some distance with Obama. And you don't see any of that right now among Republicans. Trump's real strength, I suppose, is that he's really perfected the idea of being the party boss, and he keeps people in line.
Yeah. I talked to Chuck about that a little bit. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Sarah, but like, I was asking him, I guess that really is the sign that Trump's in real political trouble, is as if Republicans start feeling like it's okay to start to, do a little bit of distancing for him, which you're not seeing at all, because that means that they're starting to make a determination, like, my political survivability like requires me being distant from him, and right now they're all making the calculation that my political survivability requires me being attached at the hip to him, right? And so
I get through a primary season first.
Yeah, right. When does that calculation change?
Yeah.
And we're not there yet, but like, could we be on a trajectory towards it, or is that never going to happen, Sarah?
So I talked about this with JVL, I think, on the Secret podcast, where I do think there's an element of always hoping that the bottom's going to fall out, right?
Yeah,
that like one day, and I think that's where it felt a little bit like we could get there on whatever Independence Day, Liberation Day.
Libertad.
In part because the bottom was
what did Alan Lichtman say about liberation?
I don't know. You're the one going back through his archive.
But let me throw a couple things at you, Tim, that just respond to what you're saying and what Sam's saying. One is, it's August. Yeah, you're right. Nobody cares because it's August. Everybody, it's like the 1 month every year that people are like, can you just leave me alone? Like, I know things are crazy, but just give me a break. So I think that's part of the doldrums here it's August has its own vibe. I want to challenge something Sam said, though, about his numbers. Okay, so I've got them because I pulled them before we came on. So in his first term on August 6th, of 2017, he was at minus 19.9. So he was underwater by about 20 points.
Really?
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Do you guys, I think people forget this, that Trump, people don't forget it because they keep making the mistake where they're like, well, Trump is doing much better than his first term. They see that because right now,
was that an average or was that Gallup or what are you looking at?
I'm looking at Nate Silver's trackers, his approval trackers. So if you go back to August 6, 2017, he's got him at minus 19.9 on inauguration day.
I fucking hate the people that voted for Trump over Hillary and then said that they hated him by August of the next year. You fucking people did this.
Give him a chance.
We were going back to like, who is the real original sin? How did we get here? Those people are the real original sin. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Sarah, finish the numbers, please. I want to know where this goes.
Minus 19. That is insane. He won the election, and 9 months later, he's at minus 19.
So the one caution I would put on that something, if you recall at the time, there was a lot of conversation about whether or not they were doing a good job in the polling of capturing more Republicans and whether the weighting was correctly. So I do think you could probably get a few points out.
Even if you were Ann Seltzer level off and it was minus 6, that's a loser in the election.
Yeah, although,
go ahead.
Well, when you compare it to today, though, so on inauguration day, his general net approval was 11.7. So in the black, positive. Now on May 1st, he was at minus 8.8, and then today he's at minus 8.9. So he is very much down relative to himself when he started. He is doing somewhat better, or he's better than he was at the first term of last year. And this goes to the question of, are nervous systems adjusting to Trump? I actually think the reason his numbers were so low after last time is, remember, people voted for him thinking, well, the presidency, he'll get in there and he'll be normal. And then quickly in those first 6 months, what they realized is he was not going to be normal. He was going to be Trump. People have adjusted to what Trump means now. And I think that's another reason for thinking about those numbers the way they are. So he lived in the kind of high 30s, low 40s in that first couple of years, and maybe throughout his entire presidency. That I don't have at my fingertips, which is why, and I think the reason he's now lower is the red-pilled people, right? Those are the ones that are dropping off first. A lot of the young voters who voted for him about the economy, who do not see it improving, Hispanics, independents, like those are the people that are really dropping away right now because they were very loose Trump voters to begin with. And I'll tell you, the disapprovers of Trump that we're talking to in the focus groups, the thing that makes me just kills me listening to them is how much they could have gone. Like they would have voted for somebody else over Trump if it hadn't been Biden or Kamala. Like they're not against voting for it. They weren't against voting for a Democrat exactly. They were sort of gettable. It was the economy for Biden.
Yeah. Kamala
they thought Trump was going to fix it.
Maybe could have got them. That does make me sad. So wait, my one takeaway of that, though, to the question that Sam brought up, that I was asking about how Republicans, the real red flag is will there ever be a moment where their calculus starts to change on how aligned with Trump they need to be? The answer to that is no, right? Like, I mean, if they were in minus 18 and they were sticking by their man in 2017, like they're certainly not going to start abandoning him if he reaches minus 11 next week or whatever.
Yeah, I think it is less. Well, I do think there's probably if he gets below, like I've always put the magic number at 32%, because that I think you're starting to peel away like at the real base level voters. But the other thing that's going to happen,
like that's like minus 30. He's at 32, 30, right? Yeah, so that's a long way to go.
32, that's crazy.
That's what George W. Bush was at when he left office.
Yeah, but that was after a recession. Like,
okay, you don't think we could get a recession here?
Yeah, sure. I think we'd have to get a recession. We'd have to have a war that went terribly, terribly wrong. A major city probably would have to flood, and they'd have to botch the disaster response. And yeah, then you could get to 30.
Texas is flooding. He's best friends with a pedophile. The job market's slowing. Like, what do you want, Sam?
Justice for W.
Those are only 3 keys, Sam.
Justice for W.
I got more keys. The economy's in the shitter. Trump is going to have to, he's going to have to manage his way through the rise of AI here. And like being bullish on crypto is not going to fix the problem. Anyway, I am bearish on the Trump presidency and its trajectory. Oh, but this is the one place where I do think people will start to feel more permission to walk away from him is after the midterms. If he gets clobbered in the midterms and people start to say, he's not going to be president. And in 2 years, somebody else is going to be president. And I think that's where you
He did
start
say
to see
he
people
wish he
walk
could
away.
run, and then he did float JD Marco. He
did
loves
float
doing the
JD
reality
Marco.
show stuff. He loves that.
It's
He
going to
loves
be an
doing that.
apprentice type shit, right?
All right. I want to do a little redistricting. Oh, actually, one more thing on just the national politics before we do redistricting. Since I mentioned JD. JD is meeting with Susie Wiles, Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, and Kash Patel tonight at the vice president's residence, according to reports, to discuss the Epstein matter. It does feel like they've kind of broken down the wall between the DOJ and the executive branch.
I was just going to say
a little bit
highly independent justice.
Like, remember that Loretta Lynch tarmac meeting? I was like, has Fox done anything on tonight's meeting yet? Can we check in? Can someone get a check in on Brett Baer? Has Brett Baer done any reports on the DOJ and the vice president meeting about Trump being in the Epstein files? Because I do remember a couple segments on Special Report on the tarmac meeting between Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton, but I don't know. I don't even know what they do. They're kind of in a box. Do you have any thoughts on the?
I do. This is going to be. I'm borrowing like a George Conway bit here, which is I'm not going to do it in George's demeanor, but I find this to be so incredibly. I think these people are so incredibly dumb in the way they're handling this. Like, why would you let it leak that you're doing this meeting? It's like the entire problem here is being accused of orchestrating a cover up. And then you decide you're going to have a secretive meeting at the residence involving the FBI director and the AG. Like, what? How does this work for you? I've been perplexed about all their strategic decision making here. Like cozying up to Ghislaine Maxwell, I've still not heard a persuasive case for how that ends well for Trump. Like, is she going to come out and be like, "Oh, Donald's not in the files," and anyone would believe that when you're out there floating a pardon? And like, none of this really reeks of strategic brilliance to me. That said, I would love to know. Maybe they could live stream the meeting tonight or whenever it is with JD and Kash.
Probably should discuss what to do with the ringleader of the child sex trafficking ring, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's gotten moved to a club fed in Texas. Maybe that'll come up.
They don't know anything about that.
Maybe that'll come up in the meeting tonight. I don't know if JD has thoughts on that. I don't know, Sarah, do you have any insights on their strategy session, their brainstorm tonight at the
other than the fact that I think they are orchestrating a cover up. Like if Donald Trump's name is redacted, as many
anyone believe that?
Here's the thing: she had them redact they had the DOJ redact his name. If with his name redacted, you could read it and be like, "Oh, I don't think Trump did anything wrong here." They would release them. Like the main thing is that they can't release the files. It seems like they absolutely can't because there's some reason. And so the rest of it now is about a cadence to orchestrate a PR situation that weasels them out of this, which is why they're going after Obama, which is why they're talking about the Clintons. Like they have a strategy for going on offense about this, but it's all a misdirection thing. And at the end of the day, release the Epstein files remains the most potent thing. But can I just add one? Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to add one thing. I know we only want to talk strategy, but can we talk about the moral component for 1 second?
I would love to.
I would like to know how Pam Bondi and if they're looking at this and it's got Trump early days, even the stuff that he's done already that we know about, shouldn't she as a law enforcement person, and dare I say but as a woman, do we not have a problem with this just as a straight moral matter? Like, how does one sleep, Susie Wiles, knowing that this guy, I know Megyn Kelly wants to just say this is like boys being boys, but one guy ran a legit pedophile ring while the other guy said they were really, really good friends. And that pedophile guy was a great person, wished well the ringleader of the pedophilia ring. Like, isn't that gross enough? Isn't what we have already gross enough? And then presumably whatever's in those files is even grosser. So
it's really bad. I brought this up with Zerlina today on the Daily Pod, and her point was like, are they even there's not even any pretense that they're discussing in this meeting. Like, you have the fucking Vice President of the United States, the Chief of Staff of the White House, the Attorney General, the head of the FBI, and the Deputy Attorney General. There's not even a pretense that the purpose of this meeting is justice for the victims.
No,
Yeah.
it's messaging. How do we message out of this shit?
Yeah.
But I go back to the idea again. I think they're dum-dums. Like, this doesn't really, you look at this and you're like, this is just part of a cover-up. Even like Jamie Comer, who like put out those subpoenas yesterday, like couldn't bring himself to subpoena Alex Acosta. Like the absence of the Acosta subpoena just adds to this entire perception that they're covering something up.
Moscow wants to point out Chris Wray. They didn't subpoena who like was the FBI director who would have seen these documents, right? Like, and I was just looking at the dates this morning. I didn't really realize this when I saw it first come across. Like the Clinton subpoenas for like late October. It's like, you really want this in the news in late October? Like, well, that's the strategy.
They do if talking about Clinton is preferable to them having to release it. Like, they have decided that they cannot release the files, and so what they have to do now is extend everything and try to make the storylines about this about Democrats.
But again, I don't want to be George Conway here, but I will be George Conway, which is like, they should just be like, we're not releasing the files, we're done with this, and just take the hit. And they're not doing it.
You know, that is interesting to think about for a second, because I would say it's not that they're dum-dums, it's that they're wildly hubristic about what they think they can get away with. But you're making a good point that if they're what I think probably is the case is that they think they can get away with that if they extend it, but they didn't think they could get away with it in the moment. Like, the pressure was too much from their own base. Right. Dan Bongino was freaking out. Kash Patel was freaking out. People are calling for Bondi's head. And so they're like, we need a different strategy. And the way that we get out of this is to low boil.
Before the vice president and the attorney general get together tonight for their strategy meeting about all the problems that the Epstein files have caused them, they might want to consider doing something with our next sponsor, ZBiotics. Let's face it, after a night out with drinks, I don't bounce back quite the way I used to. And there's a surefire way to have a great next day after a great night on the town. It's with pre-alcohol. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you will feel your best tomorrow. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a difference the next day. We got Betta in New Orleans on Thursday, doing a town hall. And I keep saying I'm trying not to drink on weeknights where I have the podcast the next day because I want to be sharp. And then people keep inviting me out to drink. So am I not supposed to have a beer with Betta on Thursday night? I think I'm probably supposed to, right?
You got it.
And so,
but just make sure to get ZBiotics.
If I have ZBiotics, that's good. It won't be as stressful as what do we think? What do we think JD drinks? Pinot Grigio, kind of a
he's a Merlot guy.
Sauv Blanc. You think he's a Merlot guy? It won't be quite as stressful as their drinks tonight. But either way, if you have to have a night of stress drinking or a night of fun drinking, ZBiotics beforehand is the way to go. Go to zbiotics.com/nextlevel to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Next Level at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money back guaranteed. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/nextlevel and use the code NEXTLEVEL at checkout for 15% off. I want to talk about the redistricting stuff in Texas. Abbott has now threatened to arrest or not threatened, I guess. Abbott has said that he's going to arrest the ringleader, I guess, of this effort to take people out. Gene Wu, is that his name? Gene Wu, yeah, Democratic Rep. Gene Wu. Ken Paxton's also saying that. To me, the biggest takeaway from all of this is just the pretense is totally gone for anybody for trying to play by the rules. And I don't know. I don't know how that makes you feel, Sarah, as a rules follower. But there was a period of time, right, where there was hardball tactics, but it was all within. But we didn't even go through a period of that. These guys are the Democrats are we're going to Illinois. Abbott's we're going to arrest you. I feel like we've really escalated things.
Well, it started earlier than that, right? The first rule that's being broken here is the redistricting in mid-decade, right?
Yeah,
that's not done. It's a pure political power play, and they're not hiding that. You ask them, somebody did ask one of the Republicans, why are you doing this? And he was like, it's good for my party. Like, that's it, right?
Yeah,
They're
Trump
trying to
wants
pick
it.
up seats.
Again, they don't even have a pretense. Like, it
Right.
wasn't like, oh,
That's
well, this thing happened in the state and, you know, like the old redistricting was unfair because of some arcane legal thing. Like, they're not even really doing that.
Yeah. And I would say this is a big difference of Sarah 1.0, Sarah during Trump 2.0 is that in 1.0, well, they were trying to break the rules, but it was more like tweaking and whatever versus now where it's so corrupt and outright. And so like in the first term where I might have said to Democrats based on the, you know, I don't know if you guys should have just like run away, like leaving, that feels pretty extreme. Now I'm like, I don't know, that seems fine. What else are you going to do? And then we're going to go arrest them. I'm kind of like, make them arrest you. Democrats, make them arrest you. I might not have gone to some of the places that they went. Yeah, well, I would just, from a PR standpoint, Dems, don't go to places where you have done lots of gerrymandering yourself to make an anti-gerrymandering case. Those are kind of gimmies for your opposition.
Could have gone to New Mexico right next door there, you know? Nice little road trip through West Texas. I guess they might have had to worry about the sheriffs coming for them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sam, what do you think?
Well, let's just I asked James Tallarico about the Illinois thing.
What'd you think about James Tallarico? Let's just do a quick aside on that, sidebar on that. Like, there's a lot of people out there that really are like, this guy has the juice. I don't know. What did you think about
what is the juice?
You know it when you see it.
Did I take a Z-biotic before I talked to him because there's so much juice? No, it's not that type of juice. He's a very smart guy, incredibly articulate. He has some gift that a lot of people in politics don't have for going viral. I mean, I don't know. Prior to his Rogan run, I was seeing him all the time for his like TikToks and his Instagram reels where he would talk about school choice down in Texas and things like that. And you'd be like, wow, this guy's got like a capacity to take a fairly sort of wonky school policy issue in a state capital and like make it into a national, you know, social media thing. So
but young Sam got a tingle up his leg for Obama. Yeah. Were you getting a tingle?
Was I getting the tingle? I think I'm too jaded at this point to get the tingle. Okay. But he certainly has got. Look, I think he's 36 years old, something like that. He's smart. He's thoughtful. He's got a really interesting story. He's religious. He's been a teacher, or he might currently be a teacher. Like he's got this incredible story to share, and he's got a perspective on politics that I think is told through the prism of his own story, which I think is actually quite valuable. I thought his most interesting comment to Rogan was just sort of, why are you a Democrat? And his answer to that is really interesting. On the Texas redistricting stuff, they decided to put him out front and center. Like Gene Wu's obviously the person who's running this, but Tallarico is just the guy who's talking through it. And look, I get why they ran away from the state. It's the only tool they have. Like that's literally the only thing they can do to stop is to deny quorum. And I get why the Abbott is saying he's going to arrest these people because that's what happened in 2003. But you know, you have the state lines; they can't legally do it. And so now John Cornyn, who's in a primary against Ken Paxton's, like, "Oh, get the FBI on this," and Trump's kind of flirting with that. And you know, like this is a real. I don't want to come off as like a, you know, everyone needs to have a kumbaya moment, but like it's obvious we're having a real race to the bottom here, right? Like this is like, I mean, it's just mutually assured destruction. We're going to have house races where it's like, maybe there's like a handful that are, you know, contested in any given election and that's it. I mean, I don't really see how this ends particularly well for the country.
No, a long-term term of the House into just a Senate.
And really, essentially. Someone brought up an interesting point. It's like, it's not just that it's like the ultra partisanization of the House. Like if you wanted to get into public service, there's so many things that you should think about doing otherwise other than public service at this point. But like this would absolutely drive me crazy. It's like, oh, wait, I'll go join this institution and then my district will just be redrawn every like 3 years. Like that sounds cool. Like only psychopaths will want to do this shit.
Did Tallarico, did it feel like they have any end game? Like, what do you think?
No, and I asked him, it's because like here's the deal about it. So they're trying to run out the special session, which is 30 days by statute. But after that, Abbott can just call another special session. So the end game really is to bleed time, and in the interim, have California move, which Tallarico's like, you got to go now because they're already going, and get it to a place where somehow, I guess, Abbott's like, you know what? Is this really worth it if California's just going to do this? And maybe we can just like, Well, New York's got some issues. They have to do it not in this cycle, but the next cycle. But is this really worth like all the hassle? Like maybe we should just agree that we both won't do it, right? No one expects that's going to be the case. We're going to end up with a situation probably where Texas goes. And I talked to a couple California Democrats because I was very skeptical that they could do it. But they seem totally convinced that they will get.
They got to do it through a ballot initiative, though, right?
They do in November.
Yeah,
right.
So, Sarah,
there's two ways to do it, but that's the main one. And I'll just say, from the confidence level, like because I've been skeptical that California Democrats can pull it off. They were like, no, this will happen. 100% this will happen. So we'll see.
Sarah, on the California thing, Newsom's been pretty good about this. I mean, Newsom has been pretty compelling and tough when you compare him to some of the other, what we've seen from a lot of other folks out there. Just purely from a tactical standpoint, he's been doing a lot of the things that many of us have been asking for Democrats to do. Neither of us are like huge Newsom people. I think your anti-Newsom feeling is like even a little greater than mine, a little more intense. So I don't know. Are you feeling?
What's the anti-Newsom?
I don't know. He's just slick, and there's some elements of it, and like California doesn't run that great. We have our old Republican juices still coming out, with Newsom. That there's just some, and also just that he dated Don Jr.'s or
he was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle.
There's just a lot of Newsom.
Why do you hold that against him?
Okay, here's why. I can answer this.
Okay, but are you feeling any Newsom momentum? Answer Sam, and then also answer.
I can answer both of these
vibes
things.
Feeling changed?
Yeah, I'll answer both. First of all, he wasn't just married to Kimberly Guilfoyle because hey, we all do crazy things when we're younger. But they would do a lot of. There's a photo shoot of them.
Yeah.
Lying together in a bearskin rug, and I think that you
haven't done that.
Not lately. People talk oftentimes about when your ambitions showing, and they do it. I think they overdo it on women, but his is outrageous. Like it's just he's so slick, and everything he does has a political calculation, which means you can smell.
Good for the gays early, though.
He was good for the gays early. I remember that when he was mayor of San Francisco. I do remember it was my first thing with him. And so here is my overall feeling on Newsom. I think in a world where the voters are chasing two different things. One is not a regular politician. I think he is the most politician-y politician that's ever existed. I think California governorship in an election in America, a general election, a presidential election, is a disaster. The depth of voters' sense that they do not want to become, like in Pennsylvania, that they do not want to become California, so deep. And so my anti-Newsomness tends to be, this is a guy who desperately wants to be president, who I think is going to blow it for the Democrats because voters will not like him. I think he comes off as smarmy, which Trump does too. So there's that. Here's the thing I like about Newsom, and here's what I'll give him. And one of the reasons that I think I worry that he's very likely to, he's in strong contention for the nomination already, because people are also desperate for a fighter, right? They don't want a regular politician, but they do want a fighter. And he has from not just, I have given him kudos in the past, despite not liking him, for the fact that he will go on Fox News and he'll sit in the spin room and he'll argue with everybody. And so I'm not, maybe this is it. The most specific thing I could say is it is a moment for a fighter. It is a moment for somebody who goes on Fox News. It's also a moment for somebody sort of deeply principled, to sort of be fighting from their gut. Like you want to feel like they recognize the moment and they're going to go like hammer and tong because they love this country and they care about people, whatever. Everything about him screams, I'm doing this because I think Gavin Newsom should be president, not the things that I think give that sort of the moral heft. But on points, he's doing a lot of good things. And so I don't write him off. I'm not going to be like 100% anti-Newsom, but I would like to see somebody else emerge who can also do some of those things that doesn't have the same baggage.
I'm softening myself. I just want to let you know he's slowly winning me over. And I hear you. I agree with every single word you said. Of everything you said, I'm just saying, like, every time he is out there, I don't like. Again, this is Tim 1.0 versus Tim 2.0. Like, you really 8 years ago would have had me on, and I still like. There's a part of my brain that's still like, I love what Josh Shapiro's doing. He's
Me
out
too.
there. He's just governing Pennsylvania well.
Give me Josh Shapiro.
He's not getting into the national fights right now. He's doing a good job. There's a part of my brain that likes that. But the angry lizard part of my brain, every time I see a new thing from Gavin that's like, oh, well, you're the one that's a little bitch. I'm like, yep. I'm like, agree, like. And
Did you like it when he had Charlie Kirk as his first podcast?
No, I didn't.
Guest?
No, he's not perfect. No, he's not
Okay.
perfect. No, I did not like that. And I said as much. I'm just saying, like, the social media game has been strong, and I don't, and I wish, could we blend them? Like, because anytime that if I do, and they probably, and some of them listen, like if a Gavin partisan called and said, like, what advice would you give? Or if Gavin called me, I would say simply, you should do what you're doing on the politics still, and also govern California better would help.
Yes.
Like making California better would be the best way to help yourself in the next 3 years. Like, again, I said I was just there. It's insane. The cost of living in California is insane. And for Josh Shapiro, if they called, I'd say keep doing the governing well thing, but maybe do a few of the Gavin things. Like, do it from time to time. Like, you don't have to just decide like you're above the fray, right? And I don't. None of the governors out there are giving me that perfect balance of what I'm looking for, which is owning Trump and governing well. So there's still time.
Well, I would also say like I am deeply pro Shapiro, and he has been out there. He came out and beat up on Netanyahu the other day. I think that he is doing a pretty good job on figuring out how to walk the line on the Israel and Gaza. Well, Sam, what do you think on that?
I think I'm going to channel Tim. I think going after Netanyahu is one thing, but like Shapiro's been very quiet on the Trump stuff, and I think deliberately so. He's keeping his head down. He's doing his thing, but like you have like J.B. Pritzker, Kathy Hochul, like, and they're like very active in this moment.
Yeah, but they fit the same thing. Like,
I no, I'm not praising these people. I'm just saying Shapiro could maybe turn the dial
a little more.
1 or 2.
We got to move on. We have a lot to get to, and we're already long. It's a good show, long show already. RFK, just really quick, God. Sam, I just want you to cook on this. Sir, if you have anything to add, you can. HHS is terminating 22 mRNA vaccine development investments. According to them, because the data shows that vaccines fail to protect effectively. One of the projects being canceled was aiming to develop an mRNA vaccine for the bird flu, which is considered a potential future pandemic agent. Seems not great. I mean, I don't know, canceling vaccine development. I thought that Bill Cassidy was assured that this was not going to happen. I don't know, Sam. What do you spend a lot more time in this world than me? Like, what's
it's a fucking disaster, man. It's a fucking disaster. It's horrible. I can't fathom that we're doing this. It's the most important medical technology that we have. It has the capacity to unlock incredible breakthroughs, and not just in bird flu, but like cancer research and things like that. And the idea that you would just be like, you know what? This fucking quack over here has some weird retrograde thoughts about vaccines, and therefore he gets to decide that we're going to pull $500 million in research from this incredibly important vaccine technology is ludicrous. It's madness. People will die, or I shouldn't say that. Unnecessary deaths will happen because of this. And, I remember you and I had a conversation early during the cabinet confirmation proceedings where we ranked which one we thought would do the most damage. And I forget where you came down.
I think this was our big dispute. You had Kennedy first, I think, and Kennedy I had him last. Yeah, I had him last.
Kennedy was
I'm not I wasn't liking it, but it's a competitive category. I had other people that I thought were going to do more damage.
This is the Olympics of competitions here. Anyways, I stand firmly by my pick. This as much as any decision any cabinet member has made, this one will have horrible repercussions. And Bill Cassidy, that motherfucker, like, you said you were going to get clearance on any vaccine decision RFK made. That was the whole point of this confirmation yes vote, was you said he would clear with your office, that you would get the heads up, and you dumb, like, you just got played. And it's just, I wish there were more repercussions for people who allowed themselves to get duped or just decided they weren't going to have skin in the game around this stuff. Because it's not Bill Cassidy who's going to bear the burden, although he probably will lose, but whatever. It's people who could have preventable diseases that won't be prevented. It's a shame.
Yeah. He also got totally cucked. Like, it's also like, what happened to the alpha males? I thought Republicans wanted alpha males. It's like they want to be alpha, and except for when standing up for something might plausibly, create a bad news item for them in the MAGA media. If they get some mean tweets about it, then they can't be. Then they're no longer so tough.
Exactly. Imagine the universe in which Cassidy says, "You know what? This is a bridge too far, and I'm not going to vote for this guy." What are the next steps? Oh, you get some fucking Malha influencers that are mad at you, and oh my god, whatever, that big tree guy who's friends with RFK throws $1 million at you. Like, cool, deal with it. Like, that's the cost of the game, right? People would have applauded that stance and would have rallied behind you. Either way, you're cooked in fucking Louisiana, probably. So who cares?
Also, you can do the stuff Tuberville is doing in the last administration now. Like now that you've already been cucked, Cassidy could go out there and say, "Okay, sorry, yeah, no, I'm not going to sign off on this recess appointment or whatever." Like, gambit until the initial agreement is upheld with regards to vaccine. Whatever, there are a lot of options. Anyway, Sarah,
he has agency.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to my moral argument here for a second. Great. How do you sleep at night, sir argument. Let me just read you a few of Cassidy's quotations from when this happened.
Nice.
First of all, he said, if confirmed, Kennedy will maintain the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's advisory committee on immunization practices without changes. Didn't happen, right? That was his red line. Then he also said, if there's someone that is not vaccinated because of policies or attitudes you, RFK, bring to the department, and there's another 18-year-old who dies of a vaccine-preventable disease, it'll be blown up in the press, said Cassidy, referring to a young woman he treated who experienced liver failure as a complication of vaccine-preventable hepatitis B. The greatest tragedy will be her death, but I can also tell you an associated tragedy, that it will cast an absolute shadow over President Trump's legacy. Do we think a shadow is being cast over President Trump's legacy?
No.
No. And you know why? Because people like Bill Cassidy aren't standing up right now and saying, this Cassidy, you want there to be news stories, Senator Cassidy? Talk, and they'll cover it. Say what we're losing. Because here's the thing. It's not just the things that we prevent that people have right now. It is when the mRNA vaccines came out around COVID, there was article after article about all the exciting things that might be able to do. Cancer, malaria, tuberculosis, HIV. Like, we haven't even begun. He's cutting off studying it. So we can't even figure out what it could do. It's a national security risk for when people unleash biological, like whatever, like COVID was, however it came to us.
Are you saying the Chinese released COVID?
I say it could be. It could be.
Lab. Can I add? I want to add one thing. I know we're going long, and I do think Cassidy shoulders so much blame here, but I don't want to let Donald Trump off the fucking hook either.
Sure.
Donald Trump, at one point in his life, in his political life, was very proud of the COVID vaccine. Was very proud of Operation Warp Speed. Thought it was one of the great achievements of his administration and touted how many millions of lives this technology had saved. And he was right to do that. And then for total expediency to win over like that weird contingent of ex-libs who were MAGA curious, he decided to turn over. He not only decided to align himself with RFK Jr., he decided to turn over our health agencies to RFK Jr. He allowed this. He made the choice that it was more important to win over that block of voters than to prevent these diseases from spreading and to introduce groundbreaking technological vaccine development. So this is on Trump's shoulders too. I mean, that his 180 on this, on vaccines and on mRNA specifically, is a catastrophic mistake of his presidency.
Yeah.
Again, competitive category.
Yeah, please go vaccinate. All right, we're moving into the fun topics.
That was
not really exactly. Now we're moving off of. We'll tell you where we're moving. We're moving off of this plane of existence. Friend of the show, Jim Acosta. A lot of things, like that he stood up to Trump. Has come on the pod. We had a nice chat. But even our friends sometimes go a little astray. here's a tweet he sent yesterday. I was like, I literally thought it was fake when somebody sent it to me. I thought it was like an AI generated thing. And he writes this: at 4 p.m. Eastern, I'll have a one-of-a-kind interview with Joaquin Oliver. He died in the Parkland school shooting, but his parents have created an AI version of their son for a powerful message on gun violence. Plus, Texas Rep. James Tallarico, who also interviewed with him, not just you, Sam. See you soon. I think that we can just right now, just kill this in the crib, which is necromancy interviews with people, with teenagers that have been murdered. I don't think we need to speak to the dead. If you watch the thing, it was very creepy. They've not done a good job. It was the uncanny valley. If it was a good AI, I actually think that probably would make it worse, not better. But it was a bad AI. Kind of looked like one of those shows where you have a real person's mouth and a cartoon face kind of situation.
It was horrible.
It was horrible.
How long did you make it till you had to turn it off?
Like 47 seconds.
Yeah,
and then I rewatched one other clip later because I knew we were going to talk about it. But literally, I felt a chill down. I felt the existence of Lucifer in the room with me.
It was so bad, and I was so uncomfortable. I think I watched it like this. I was like, and then I finally found the off button. It was just, I couldn't deal with it. It was so bad. Never.
The content game is hard. And when you're an independent Substacker, you got to do things to stand out. But I would like to implore fellow Substackers, do not do things like this. Don't do it. It is, I understand the parents gave consent. Independent media has a role to play now, and we should take that responsibility seriously and not do things that are so ghoulish. I will just say the uncanny valley. When something is 85% there, but 15% off, I think it's worse. Like, there's something about it that offends like the deep part of our humanity. And we don't want people doing this just imagine if Trump was, what was her name that got shot during January 6th?
Riley? Oh, no, you're talking about,
but any of them. Can you imagine if what we would say if they did that with one of the, with a Laken Riley, but what I mean is the woman who was shot during January 6th. Ashley Babbitt, thank you. Yeah. Don't do it. Don't open this Pandora's box.
Yeah. Laken Riley is also just a relevant comparison that came to my head because she was underage, right? She's a child. Like this was a teenager. This is at school, and so it's just like, I'm sorry, like what parental approval? Like what? Humans have dignity, and like they, let the dead stay dead, and like you don't have parental rights to like exhume bodies. So I get it. Raising awareness, okay. There are a lot of ways to raise awareness. This is not it. This did not do anybody any good, and like having a dead, doing, like kind of a fucking Lazarus necromancy where he's like talking about the policies in the Hill. It's like, hey, also no policies are going to change. The fucking Republicans have Congress. So having like a dead child, like start talking about what sort of bipartisan reforms they want, like the whole, just across every metric, it was a no. It's a no for me.
That Veep meme where Selena Myers, it's like nervous laughter. What the fuck? That's how I felt. Like, what the
okay, great. Well, I didn't know what other podcast to bring this up on besides the next level. So here you go. I have a list of, I have like a bucket of topics. Like, I don't know if I should bring this up with Chuck Todd and A.M. Applebaum, So you guys get it. Also on that list, though I have brought this up on the Daily Pod, Sarah, you got into a fight with Megyn Kelly on the internet. Megyn Kelly, who is upset that she thinks that Beyonce is inauthentic, and Megyn only respects authenticity in somebody's look. She did not like that Beyonce had fake blonde hair. That's why everything on Megyn's face is totally natural and totally authentic. Okay, there's not anything there because she does not like inauthenticity, and that's why everything that she says that comes out of her mouth is always authentic. So you and her had a disagreement authentically, and I'm curious what it was over.
I'm not going to get into any back and forth on looks because I hate that this is like a way that some women are. I think Megyn Kelly's a very beautiful person. That's not that. Here's my and I don't mean on the inside. I think on the inside, she's deeply broken. And one of the thing that I tweeted when she said this thing about Beyonce, it had a couple components, and I'd like to unravel them for you. Okay. One is Megyn Kelly has been somebody who in the early days was calling for Pam Body's head over the absence of the Epstein files. She subsequently has kind of bounced around on Epstein because she'd been pretty dogged on it, but clearly got a call from her buddy Trump. And so she's been leaning hard on the Sydney Sweeney piece. And I think the Beyonce tweet was a actual strategic thing on her part to extend the Sydney Sweeney storyline, because that has been the number one go-to for Fox. Look at all these libs who are crazy about Epstein, which I think is also why she engaged with me and Jon Favreau in fighting. Yeah. The nastiness.
Just who are crazy about Sweeney, just for context. Anybody who's made this far the next level knows, but like, there's a Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, or like, some random libs, which we'll get to in a second. We're like, this is a Nazi ad because they're talking about her jeans. It's a pun, get the pun. And then Beyonce also had a jeans ad, I think by coincidence. Well,
she's been doing Levi's ads. There's an song on her new album, Cowboy Carter, about my Levi jeans. It's a pretty good song. I think it's with Shabuzi. I'm not positive that one's right. Song? Okay. I think so. Anyway, or maybe it's with somebody else. But anyway, she's got a Levi jeans song. She's doing ads for Levi's jeans. Actually, the Levi's jeans ad. Post Malone is that one. There's a different song she does with Shabuzi. The ad that she does, actually, I know this because when I saw the ad, I went, whoa, it is an ad where she is playing pool with the guy from Justified, very handsome man, and they are shooting her from behind as she bends over the pool table to shoot the cue ball. And I said, this is quite a suggestive ad. It actually isn't unlike the way that Sydney Sweeney, other than the jeans pun. Megyn Kelly's
How did she look? There was also, I noticed Nancy Mace tried to imitate
She also did. Well, so did Pete Hegseth. They're all jumping into the jeans story. Okay. The SecDef, the official SecDef Twitter account put out Pete Hegseth has good jeans.
Yeah, he was wearing mom jeans while they were posted that. Like,
whatever, it doesn't. Who cares about the jeans?
I'm just trying to make sure everybody understands the facts. I'm weighing in on the sartorial side of this.
Okay.
If Pete Hegseth looked great in jeans, I'd be the first one to say it. We like to, I like to throw him a bone where I can, but he doesn't.
Feels like we're going a far field.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Sarah, go back to what you were saying.
Sam, I'm hosting. You could have hosted if you wanted.
I'm here to just.
I should have hosted. I just should have hosted. We wouldn't have this. But her point. So she's like the contrast between Sydney Sweeney, where it's all authentic and amazing, versus all the fake stuff about Beyonce. I think it was just a way to extend the story. The thing about Megyn Kelly, though, and I might have picked the wrong time to point this out, but it's just like it was my straw that broke the camel's back, or going after Beyonce. She's so nasty on Twitter. She's just nasty in general. Like the pipeline from serious conservative to shit poster is a well-worn path now, but nobody shit posts harder and with more like gross nastiness than Megyn Kelly. And I've just watched her do this and I'm like, why are you going so hard at people in such a horrible way? She's horrible to trans people, horrible to immigrants, like just nasty. And I'd seen something else really nasty from her, like preceding this one. And so this is the one where I pointed out that I think there is something about people who got bullied by Trump, who then became major bullies themselves, which is just an under-discussed dynamic that happened in the Trump era, right? Like he broke people and they in turn resurrected themselves as Trump toadies and try to break other people, right? There's just a lot of that going around. And she got mad at me. And came back and said, how could she bully Beyonce? Because, Beyonce, and she was really zeroing in on the word bully, when really what I wanted her to understand is like, you're broken and you're cruel and you are taking your brokenness and being cruel to everybody else. So she decided to engage. And I was just, but she was like, I can't bully Beyonce because she's too rich and famous, whatever, but I can bully you. But I won't because your TDS is like got you so wrapped up that why would I bother bullying you? I was kind of like,
wasn't that great? I thought her material against Favreau was a little bit better than her material against you. It was she was grasping a little bit, and she was. You can't just as a matter of fact though, like the point wasn't that she was actually bullying Beyonce. It's that she was bullying like black people. She's bullying people that like decide that they want to, have their hair look a different way. Like the whole point of her thing was to like tear people down and be like, the only thing that we should be actually honoring is somebody who's authentic and like Sydney Sweeney. Like we should honor the blonde white archetype.
Why are people so angry all the time?
She is so angry. Could you imagine being this angry after like
No.
NBC paid you $67 million or something to just disappear, and you did, and then you started a podcast? Which fine, I don't know. I would be bored too. I would probably do something. Some people say like, oh, if I got $67 million, I'd disappear. I don't know if I would. I might do something still. I don't know. It's not like I can just sit around and read gay fiction all day. I'd want something else to do, and so maybe I'd still do the podcast. But like, I wouldn't be so bitter and angry and cruel and mean all the time. It's just like, really, it's just like, it does infect your soul if you have to be.
I would never
so
recommend. Mean. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this to people. But like, first of all, this is a disease that's caused by social media. A lot of it, and like I said to you guys, sometimes I do call people up in person just to like talk to them.
I wouldn't do this to Megyn Kelly. About this. It was not in the outline. I wanted to talk about this. We're going to end with that. Okay, go on. Keep going now.
Well, no, I mean, this happened to me the other day where we put up the what was the piece? It was from Adrian. It was about the carpenter named Jesus, who got arrested by ICE, and we had a fun headline with it, like, and everyone was online accusing me of blasphemy, and like I just absolutely desecrated Jesus Christ and all that stuff. And so I was just like, oh, come on, guys, you're supposed to be the party that can like resurrect humor, just have a little fun. And then I just called a few of the folks to talk about it. I'm not gonna
just like strangers, names. Just like random people.
No,
these are like bots, reporters. Like you called like reporters for like reporters for Newsmax, like Newsmax personalities, or like
operatives in the Republican field. Okay, people who work in that space who were like going crazy. And I was just like, first of all, did you read the article? Like, this is actually based on someone named Jesus, who was a carpenter, not the actual Jesus. And they're like, yeah. And then we just started talking. It was like, it was just like a play on words. Like, you don't, it was not a big deal. And they're like, yeah, we know. I was like, so
none of the people you called said, no, you are a blasphemer and you're going to hell and I hate you. None of them actually did.
No, it's all that. I mean, that's the thing. Like, so much of this is just theater. It's just bullshit theater. And I'm not saying you should call Megyn Kelly because I think something is like a little.
I think Megyn Kelly is a separation. I think she's broken inside. If her and Sarah ended up at some accidental like one of these panels or something, and like you ended up like going in onto the next panel, then she was on the one before you or something, and you saw each other backstage, I think she would be nasty to you. I think that she's become. Yeah. I think this is the one area where her authenticity is real. Like I think that she's become a nasty person.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, I follow her on Twitter. I think she follows me, so which is why she must have seen it. But like, this is where I just see how cruel and nasty and awful she is, and I do think that the humiliation of because there was a whole movie based on her called Bombshell about sexual, where she got a hero's narrative, like a hero's arc. And so the thing is I used to think kind of well of Megyn Kelly. So part of it is like this general thing that happens where she was somebody that I saw, 15 years ago and thought like, man, that person's a star and she's smart and she's good. And she also used to be pretty normal. Like people who didn't clock her back then will think she's always been terrible, whatever. And I'm not saying she didn't have some bad moments. She had like the
black
Santa can't be black, which is okay. Santa's not. I mean, sorry, Santa.
Don't say it.
Yes, he can.
One of my high school besties said he can't listen to the pod in the car because of his kid, and I was like, "Stop being a pussy."
No,
but anyway, we also shouldn't do that for people that do listen with kids in the car.
So my point is, she was not. She had a lot of good stuff going for her, and who she has become is very different from who she used to be.
I want to do a spin-off pod now of Sam calling trolls. I think I feel like we're wasting the content.
You've never done it
off air. No, I don't call trolls.
Tim, the whole point of him doing it is it's not for content. He's doing it to be a human.
I know.
I want to make sure humanity still is preserved.
Okay. Can't we preserve humanity on YouTube?
No? there is some content possibilities around this. I will expose for you offline.
We talked to Edwin. I talked to Edwin on YouTube, and I felt like he sent us a very nice note after the Christian nationalist DACA guy who might get deported. Okay. Oh, wait. I had one thing, just one more. I'm sorry. I have to get this off my chest because I haven't done it on any Sydney Sweeney stuff. Off my chest, pun intended. Charlie Wartzel, another person I like, had been on the pod in The Atlantic, was writing about this controversy. And he wrote this sentence. Even her figure has become a cultural stand-in for the idea, comma, pushed by conservative commentators, comma, that Americans should be free to love boobs. And I just want to say, let's not make boobs partisan. I don't like boobs in particular. Not for me, as any of you would know. But I think that it seems to me most people like boobs. Democrat, Republican, commentator, not commentator. Black, white, yellow, Latino, Asian. Like, a lot of people like boobs. And I just think it's a bad idea for people to try to say that it's just a function of the conservative commentariat that boobs are a good thing.
Was there an age when people did not like boobs that I missed? I feel like I missed this era.
I don't know. It just concerns me a little bit about what's happening inside the lib bubble.
Yeah, I do think that boobs should bring everybody together. They are life sustaining, as well as just,
Don Jr. has them.
Don Jr. has them.
Yeah.
You've seen the pics, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Doing gender affirming care.
I always just want to use the line from Meet the Parents where he's like, I have nipples. Jim, can you milk me? That De Niro says to Ben Stiller. Anyway, we can be partisan about so many things, but we should not be polarized on not just, but on general, like, this is where I think a lot of this stuff is off the rails. I'm sorry, like, beautiful. We can have a conversation about standards of beauty or whatever, but like, they're going to use beautiful people to sell clothes, and everybody should like relax about the rest of it.
This seems like the perfect platform for no labels to bring the country together. Just like boobs.
Sam, do you have any final thoughts about boobs that you want to share?
No,
as a heterosexual male on the podcast?
Yeah, I'm
as a lib. Do you feel like it's a conservative commentator construct that Americans like boobs, or
I just, again, I don't recall the time period, apparently fairly recently, where boobs were like not something we cared about or liked. I must have missed that. It probably was around the COVID pandemic or something like that, but no.
We couldn't have anything good during the pandemic.
No, in 2020, we just, enough with the boobs. We're suffering.
Yeah.
Let's just get rid of boobs. Yeah.
Just, take your joys where you can get them. All right.
Sure.
Motorboating, whatever it is. Beyonce, Cowboy Carter, whatever it is that works for you. I was going to talk about, we've gone way over though. So just for another day, we'll discuss my statement that you really should not take children under 10 to amusement parks.
I'm taking
experience.
What are you talking about? I'm going to take my kids to Disney any second.
You should not.
You
We did get a message in the comments from somebody. So if you're made it this long that was upset that I went to Universal instead of Disney because they're a Disney exec, you can get a VIP tour. So maybe check out that guy in the comments. Yeah, check out. I think his name was Bruce. Shout out to Bruce.
Bruce.
Okay, well, great. We'll then hold this. When you get back from Disney, we'll compare notes. That's all. We'll just leave it there. Great. Everybody else, thank you so much. This has been the Next Level Podcast featuring Sam Stein.
Nice.
And we'll be back next week, I think, with the main crew. We'll see how it goes. Good luck, America.